And I just ate. Part 2. What happened to me at the counselor's office? I may or may not have said this in the first video, but what I said was that I cannot get through. I don't actually hear voices. They're so faint and far away. I think they're trying to talk to me, but I can't tell what they're saying. And also, I can't say anything I can't hear even my own thoughts that are in my head. While I'm writing music, I could hear Usher singing all day long, because you know what that voice sounds like, But when I want to sing my own song, I can't hear my own voice. I just know what I would sound like. I know that I'm doing it myself. I know that I'm writing for myself. I know that it's there. So it's my thoughts that are clear and totally silent. I can never hear my own voice sing. Perhaps somebody else could. So I wondered about this telepathy thing, and I talked to the counselor about it, and the counselor sent me to a psychiatrist. In fact, I do think I said something about that in the other video. But that's what happened, is that they were way too quick to diagnose me. They didn't take time to get to know my personality and how I talk about the things that are happening to me. They just made the assumption what I was saying was clearly schizophrenia. I had not yet mentioned any conspiracy, but I did mention that people were stealing music from me. Like, they're stealing it from me. And for some reason, they didn't try to believe it. They thought maybe I was lying, or a lot of people who say this need medication. They're going to go after the stars and get really obsessed and start to kill people with big guns. That's their first assumption. I swear by that. Okay, that's why they medicate you so fast. But they don't tell you when they're going to put you on antipsychotics. They don't give you any reason not to take them. They will not tell you that you have to be on them for the rest of your life. They will not tell you the side effects they can cause that will be permanent. They do not tell you that. They tell you the different medications that are considering to put you on, and then they tell you the one that they are going to put you on first. Let's see how this one works, and these are the ways that it works. They tell you how it works. They don't tell you the side effects, and they don't tell you this is going to be the rest of your life. You're assuming, okay, I'll get better. But I suppose it's common thought that schizophrenia is forever, but the thing is, nobody told me that my diagnosis was schizophrenia. Nobody said that word to me for almost a year. They were medicating me for it, but they didn't tell me my diagnosis. I went to the hospital twice, and the second time he said, okay, you're schizophrenic. Like I wasn't before, but now I am. Or maybe he said it because he thought that I didn't know. But they didn't tell me till the second time I ended up in the hospital. And the second time I ended up in the hospital is because I was going through too many changes, which are a side effect of my medications. Okay, it was very frustrating to deal with the doctors who, I hate to say this, but don't speak English very well. And although they are very educated, they're not great communicators. Okay, which I am. And it's very frustrating for me to deal with people. I hate saying this too, but it's very frustrating for me to deal with dumb people. I get that from my mom. My mom hates it just as much as I do. My mom has a problem dealing with me, okay? I'm not smart enough to talk to my mom sometimes. But other times my mom is so smart that she's thinking of something more. When she asks me a question, I go, that is the dumbest question. How could you ask me that? This is a separate subject. But I get really mad at her for being so stupid. And then she explains to me why she asked me that question. I go, now I'm mad at you for being so smart. What the hell? I guess so. Yeah, we get frustrated with people. And that is part of my schizophrenia, is probably brought on by not going to school to occupy the capacity of my mind. That's probably why. But on the other hand, I may have gone crazy in school, because it was very hard for me to get my high school diploma while I was going through symptoms. So that's a separate subject. But yeah, they didn't actually tell me my diagnosis for the first year that I was actually on antipsychotics. I suppose I should have assumed why I was on them. I didn't put together the antipsychotic is directly related to schizophrenia. Like, that is the only thing it is prescribed to. I thought there must have been some other mental condition that I was going through that they were prescribing me antipsychotics for. Just like they prescribed me antidepressants when I wasn't depressed. But because I was experiencing a form of, what do you call it? What is it when you think you have all the diseases in the world? You're hypo, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, I can't think of the word, but but I thought I had everything in the world and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, so they put me on antidepressants. And I don't think I mentioned anything about the voices in my head, but I did mention telepathy. I go, yeah, telepathy, but not like voices. I don't hear like voices telling me what to do and like weird things happening to me. I didn't fully understand, I guess, what schizophrenia, like, I didn't think I was schizophrenic because I didn't know what schizophrenia is inside of your mind. Doctors are trained to understand what schizophrenia is in your mind, but they're not, or what it sounds like, but they're not really trained in knowing how it feels. So those are two separate things that can confuse one, the doctor, or one, the patient. And without clear communication, you're not going to know what the hell's going on with your prescriptions or your counseling sessions, or why they're doing this to you. And I know they don't want you to say that they're doing it to you, but they're doing it to help you. It's to you because that's how it feels, and that's what you just did. You prescribed me medications that gave me something called what you call dysmorphia, but it's not the classic form of dysmorphia where I guess they gave that to me for a little while. When I say that, I mean the things in my mind. I did feel like I was looking at somebody else in the mirror and I go, wow, that's new. That is new. I never had that before. I know things changed, but I always feel like myself. At one point in time, it did feel like it was somebody else. I told the doctor, I said, now I really feel dysmorphic. Now I really feel that. And I know it's brought on by the medications. And you guys said that this was the best medication for me to take. You said it's the best one on paper. Not necessarily the best one for you, but the best one on paper. And that's why I stuck with the doctor that I had, because he made it clear as day for me to understand what was going on. And now he's retiring. So I don't know what it's going to be like with this new person. But I'm just saying that even with somebody who's not as stable and not as intelligent, you still have to be able to clearly communicate what is going to happen to a person, and what their diagnosis is and why you came to that conclusion, because they will argue with you, they will refuse medication, they will not care what you're saying because of the look on your face. They just think you're creating a conspiracy against them, and you're all part of the government's plan to take their money. You know, it happens to the best of us. But I mean, it happened to me, and I'm not like that. I mean, 10 years ago, 29 years old, I was not like that. In fact, I could have seen it clearly for somebody else. This is what's happened to you. Let me explain this. But it happened to me, and I got a little confused and a little mixed up and all because I was a little bit upset about this other thing that was happening in my life about my music. And it started to tie the two together, which was wrong to do. I may have assumed that, but I don't think that that's what happened. I literally think the doctors were just too fast, too quick to diagnose me. And oftentimes they're probably right, but I think that they may understand that maybe they were wrong about this one. Maybe. But they don't like to think that. When I put that thought to them, like, you think that maybe I could have gotten away with a couple years of counseling instead of these antipsychotics, considering the fact that they have put me through too much and caused more symptoms of something I didn't have in the first place. And they will never admit they're wrong about any diagnosis, especially if it's something that you're going to have for the rest of your life, because that is a huge lawsuit, right? So you'll never get the truth. You'll never get it. Even if they are retiring, they're going to be part of something bigger, and they don't want to do it. So I will never get the answer that I want or need, and they will continue to look at me like, okay, Sochi. They will always do that to me because I have this label attached to me. And the thing about it is that I have to accept that this is my diagnosis and accept that now I actually have a disease. And now it's just that I have to learn how to cope with it. My phone. Now I just have to learn to cope with it because there's nothing you can do. And that's the best way to survive in any situation, in any hard, like war-like situation. The best thing you can do is find the coping skills, find the survival skills that you need to deal with the situation at hand. And to anybody who thinks there's this conspiracy, I know a lot of schizophrenics do. That is all that you can do. You can't try and look for a way to get through it, try to get back at them, try to figure out a way to make them believe you. That is not the thing to do, because eventually you'll be buying a bunch of guns and shooting up a load of people. It's wrong. You can't do it. The government will get you. Okay? The government will get you. Eventually you'll end up in prison or dead. You don't want to go against it. It's the current you can't go against. You know what I'm saying? You're caught in the river and it's pulling you under. You have to go with it in order to survive. Your best way to survive, to get through on the other side, is to hold your breath and just go with it. So that's my part to canceling and conspiracy and how it can happen to you by total accident. Total accident. though, just simply the words that you say at the hospital. But I don't want to confuse you. I don't want you to think that I'm trying to tell you what not to say when you go to the hospital, because I think that you should always tell the exact truth. You just have to be really clear. You just have to be really clear, because if you want them to be able to explain to you what's happening, you have to be just as good at explaining yourself. And I don't suggest hiding any information. I'm not saying that either. Because if this is going to happen to you, it's just going to happen. And there's no way out of it. I couldn't have gotten out of that hospital when they gave me the 5150. There's no way I could have escaped the whole army of security, and nurses were after me. And that is what they do. I think in that situation, even with the best martial artists, they can't get through. So don't try and play Jet Li and go against all the people that are trying to help you and understand. They're really trying to understand the situation, and they feel in danger themselves. So you're only making it worse for yourself if you're making them feel like you're dangerous. Never, ever fight the current.